now the one is, I need to get merch. So I'm trying to figure out like that process and getting the merch, the stuff that we need for it, and yeah. Um, the other interesting thing is that we just through the self-directed that we do with our insurance and whatnot, they wanted us to get a computer for the program, and I said, "Well, can I try a MacBook?" And they said, "Yeah."
That's
So
cool.
we picked that up over the weekend, and I'm starting to think I like Mac better than PC.
Well, it always depends on what you're doing. You know, you and Michael are creators, and there is a lot of tools out there for creators.
Yep.
Podcast being one of them, because you can do what was like GarageBand and some different things that,
Mm-hmm.
from what I
I need to
understand, are
play with
pretty.
Garage. I need to play with GarageBand.
My problem
So
is I hate Apple.
I have the same feeling about Android.
I hate Apple, and I hate their business model because, like, my Android phone is a Galaxy S8, and it has
Right?
more stuff and more gadgets and more cool things than the latest Apple does. So it's like 3 or 4 generations behind. They stop supporting their stuff. Everything is overpriced. Whatever Microsoft comes out with or anyone else comes out with has more power. But Apple has a better brand and a better message, so people are willing to pay more for that stuff, even though they're getting less.
That and it's streamlined, and Apple is a lot better at accessibility,
Yeah,
especially on the phone side.
until they made you buy a different phone charger with every new Apple.
No comment. Yeah.
They nickel and dime you with nonsense, and it pisses me off as a consumer. Maybe because it's my 16 years doing finances for people.
Ah, come on. All right.
But I had the last
Where's the
laptop that
charger?
I had for
What?
many years.
Hmm.
I had it for 9 years, no problems,
Nice.
and it wasn't an Apple.
I hear you. I hear you. I mean, I've been a PC person most of my life. Um I wanted to try Apple the MacBook, and we wanted to see, and it was like really easy to set up. And for me, I mean, I'm not a coder. I don't, but I like to do stuff, and there are certain things that apparently I can do with Apple that I can't do with a Windows machine because I've tried.
Hmm. Well, it's
And
the program, and some of the people that are developing things, that are developing apps and different programs, are
yep,
Apple, preference, which means sometimes Apple gets the cool stuff first. Um, but I've never been that kind of creative type. All I do, I do the Socrates, and I understand that I don't know anything, so I just ask questions, and it sounds like I'm making a podcast.
well, I would call that creative.
Well, I'm just
You
asking questions. I'm
know.
like, what do you think you're talking about? Okay, cool. So
So, all right. Well,
remind me, I didn't take note. Usually I take notes on the people I'm going to interview.
hmm
I couldn't remember if I was interviewing you or you were interviewing me. I couldn't remember.
I think we were going to do a trade, and I guess we're doing the interview for you today, or you're doing
Okay.
the interview on your show today.
Okay. What are you talking about today, Teresa?
I was thinking about talking about podcasting for nonprofits, and because I've actually noticed some very interesting trends that I think could apply to the nonprofit space.
Okay.
Like, for example, one thing that I've seen that I thought was really interesting, especially now, um, is I've seen a lot of the senators and the representatives
Yeah.
bypassing mainstream media and creating their own podcast.
Well, I don't blame them. When you
Nor do
can
I.
when you can have someone that's following you, and cares about what you have to say, whomever that thing is, speak out to them directly. Talk directly to your
Well, and
audience.
it's mm-hmm.
figure out the things that you want to do and do it. And if people are already interested in you and what you have to say and what you want to do, then why not?
Yep. Well, and if you really look at it, it goes back to the 2012 election. That's when this really trend really started. This new media trend for elections and whatnot. Because Barack Obama, I don't like the man. I didn't at the time, but I did watch how he marketed. You know,
Yeah, his
and
marketing
even
team did a great job.
and even tonight, I was looking over at my Facebook, and Trump had an ad that they were running that if you donate thus and so, thus and so, thus and so, your name will be placed on the wall during the State of the Union.
Yeah, that's a big deal.
So that's I mean that and so I'm kind of thinking podcasting in the or how to conduct yourself in a new media landscape or something to that effect. I don't quite know how to phrase it yet.
I got you. Are you guys operating under Kadosh Media?
Yes.
Okay. Kadosh Media,
Mm-hmm.
podcasting for nonprofits. So, what does podcasting for nonprofits look like?
Man, it really depends on the agency. So, like, if you are looking to set up like a nonprofit that actually helps a community based situation, you might want to feature stories of people that have actually seen what you do, or you could do a solo show if you don't have any guests. Of okay, this is the actual need, and this is how we need to address it as a community.
Yeah, absolutely. Focusing on whatever that target audience is. I know that Ross Perot, when he got started, there was no one talking to, I forget what his target was, like 45 to 60 conservative.
Mm-hmm.
Like him or don't like him, he cultivated a very niche market and it grew to this massive thing. And I was reminded of him today because he seems to be suffering from stage 4 cancer.
Oh, are you talking about Rush Limbaugh?
Yeah.
Yeah, yeah. He announced that yesterday. That's like, oh man. And he's a giant in the talk radio space.
Oh, absolutely. And the way that
So,
he did it, uh, finding the stories that his audience cared about and going after them time and time and time again before they grew.
hmm and now look at it. I mean, you've got if you actually go into um the top 100 podcasts under news, most of them are conservative. I mean, it seems to no, I wouldn't say most. I'd say about 50-50 because there's like you've got your Rachel Maddows and your Al Franken and he's got a show. A few others have a show, but then I started seeing actual a lot of senators pop up, uh, and even the guy who was a victim of Spygate, George Papadopoulos,
Yeah.
he has his own show because
Yeah.
he's like, I want to share the truth of actually what happened to me, and this is the best way to do it.
Oh yeah. You don't have people in the way. You don't have to,
Yeah.
curtail the sponsors, all of that. Ben Shapiro's got a show. I think Ted Cruz just launched his podcast.
Yep, The Verdict,
Um,
which I subscribe to, which by the way was really interesting, especially with the impeachment going on. You got some real insights there.
yeah.
So,
Hey,
yeah.
Teresa, I need a sec. I got to step over to the bathroom. 1 minute.
Yep. Yep. I'm gonna grab a bite to eat while you're doing that. Come here.
Yeah, I'm back.
Cool. Trying to make the considering we have video, which I normally don't do. I should have had the bed made at least.
Oh, that's all right. I can't see the bed anyway.
Cool. Okay. All right. So, how do you like to run your show? I haven't, like, I actually need to subscribe to your show, but I have been crazy busy. I need to go back and re-listen to a few episodes. And I also like to come in blind, just run wings and ready, fire, aim.
Ready, fire, aim. That's right. So what I like to do is I usually have to get a good page of notes before I have a conversation with somebody, so I can make sure we have enough topics to kind of get through a show. I give a little intro, say, hey, Travis, nonprofit architect, blah, blah, blah. I'm on today with Teresa from Kadosh Media. Today we're talking about podcasting, telling us a little bit about yourself and what you do, and then you give us about 2 minutes of that. And then the goal is to spend the rest of the time, however long that is, talking about actionable steps that people in nonprofits can do
Mm-hmm.
to help make their nonprofit a success.
Mm-hmm. I can do that. Um, One of the other things I'm thinking about too is, I mean, like you can. And the cool thing is, there's so many ways to podcast, and I've done. We do the Zoom thing, but then there's so many ways you can actually do a live video. Take that live video, repurpose it into content. Now you're interacting with your audience.
Yeah, absolutely.
I'm trying to think. And then do you want me to get into the nuts and bolts of like how you actually podcast, or
Yeah. I mean,
okay?
there's a couple types of podcasting, right? There's a person that talks to themselves,
Yep,
used to be,
the
we send those
monologue. Yep.
people to some kind of mental health institution. Now we call it podcasting. Or there's another style, it's interview style, where they have a guest
Oh,
on that
that's
has.
funny. I'm sorry. That's
No, we
I
have.
go in and I'm like, oh my, that's bad.
Then you have a guest on. You do some kind of interview, and you bring in
Hmm.
an expert, someone with some expertise, to talk about some aspect of what they're awesome at. That way, they can glean from someone else's story and someone else's hardship or insight
Yep.
to then do it
Yep.
better themselves. And I'm sure there's more than one type, a way to do this than those two. But what are you going to do?
Well, what I was thinking is, I mean, yeah, cover the different types, the monologue and or the get the interview. Those seem to be the popular, but then there's also the round table.
Yeah.
So you have like multiple guests and they're all having a conversation. Um, and then there's also a lot of different ways on the tech. Like you can use Zoom, but I mean, often or more often than not, I use my phone. Like I just
Yeah.
plug in my mic, and then like one of the other things that I'm also thinking is like because the person is a nonprofit, they do not need to like try and learn every aspect of podcasting themselves. They just don't. They need to focus on what they're good at, which is bringing the information to their audience.
Right.
What is the mission that you've been given? Um, Focus on that. Leave the technical stuff to those that kind of eat, breathe, and live it.
Yeah, absolutely. There's ways to podcast using Anchor where you don't.
Yep.
You go live, Anchor or Blog Talk Radio. You record it and go, and you set it up and you do it. If you
Hmm.
do it with video, you can then take it and repurpose it for YouTube. You can go video to text and pull out a blog post. You can do all sorts of stuff with it.
Yep. Like one of the things that I found, like I don't like Anchor and I don't like Blog Talk because you don't control the feed. They do.
Right. Right.
And so I'm kind of like, yeah, I don't like to. I mean, that's a good starting place, but it's not one if you really want to make this a thing. You don't want to stay there.
Oh yeah, and I mean it depends on someone's goal, right? I've got a friend that's been doing Blog Talk Radio for his whole time, and he's got 200 some episodes, and he's really parlayed that into a public speaking career and all sort of,
Oh,
and speaking
nice.
at conferences, which he does a great job doing that. But that's not everyone's goal. So really understanding what the goal is before you start. Like my
Right.
goal with the nonprofit architect was really helping bridge that gap between the business world and the nonprofit world to help you, design your blueprint, lay your foundation, and build a
Hmm.
stronger nonprofit.
And the other thing you can do, I mean, you can use podcasting to raise funds, and not in a gimme, gimme, gimme money kind of thing, but you could do something like use a glow.fm or a Patreon and say, hey, we're doing this, but if you'll support the show, all the money will go into the nonprofit, and you'll receive these bennies.
Right.
Um, I mean, like, I'm trying to think who I've seen that does a really good, uh, daily tech news show, which is a run by Tom Merritt. He does like a technical news podcast that I listen to fairly often. He is really good at this.
Yeah.
Like, hey, if you stay a Patreon member for this long, you'll get this benefit. Now, I don't support his Patreon, because I don't have money. Well, no, not that I don't have the money. It's just I don't have the time. You know,
Right.
um, I do support like the Hackman Report, which is a independent news. He's a private investigator guy. You know, but but if you create enough value for your audience and they go, I like what you're doing, and I think, yeah, I want to support that, they will do it.
Absolutely. For my podcast, I think I got to put some kind of videos on Patreon. I'm thinking about putting my first talks with people on Patreon to get that behind the scenes look of how I connect with a guest, develop that rapport, and then really find that thing that's going to help connect to my audience. And then at the end of it, I usually end up, especially if they're a nonprofit, giving them value.
Oh, that would be sick. Kind of a behind the scenes look of this is what you miss. I like that idea actually.
Thanks. Trying to get my life figured out over here. I don't have it all put together yet.
Hey, who does? The only one that ever had it put together was around 2,000 years ago.
Yeah. You don't want to be
I'm
too
serious.
perfect. You don't want to be too perfect. You hear what they
Yeah.
did to the last guy? They crucified him.
Yep. Yeah, but he didn't stay dead long.
It didn't. He tried it. Didn't take.
Yeah, well, I mean, boy, oh boy, I'll be glad when he comes back.
Yeah.
How are you doing over in Bahrain? Have things calmed down for you?
Yep. Iran stopped being a dick.
Well, yeah, because Trump put him in their place.
Yeah. They tried to fight. They tried to fire back, and then they shot down. They stampeded their people, and then they shot down a Ukrainian airliner and killed some like 200
Yeah,
people. So they're kind of in time. I think they're in a self-imposed timeout right now.
like we're not gonna go any further. Yeah.
I'm just
I
glad I
I
have
think
some
it's
breathing room.
well, and the thing is, Trump is kind of one of those people. I will make a deal with you. I'll work with you, but if you get stupid and try and push me around, you know,
Yeah.
and we need that kind of a leader. But so and I can bring in like some of the marketing stuff that I picked up from Gary Vee as far as the interview. I think one of the biggest quotes that really has impacted me was that our phones have more power than the computer that Reagan used to run the country.
Oh, that's a great one.
I heard that and I went, oh crap, I'm stealing that quote.
Is it a Gary Vee
I
quote?
yeah, I've always referred to it because I think that sets the right mindset. Like we live in the most opportune time period. You could walk out, record a podcast on a walk, and be upload it to maybe your editor or whatever you're doing, or even if you want to just go raw to tape and be done.
There's so many ways to do this. I got invited to be a guest speaker for one of the nonprofits I've been talking to, Foster 360. I used to be a foster kid, and I've got about a 20-minute walk, so I've been kind of practicing the speech that I'm going to give to these kids.
Mm-hmm.
I've got about 30 minutes. I might have to take a little bit different route to work to get the extra time down to see how it goes. But it's fairly windy here, so when I go to re-listen to what I did, it just sounds like. So maybe it's more for me and timing than quality of content, because I know the content that I spit out, my mad beats, my mad skills.
Oh man, it's so funny. I used to actually write rap.
I can see you as a rapper.
I just haven't. I haven't put out anything. I mean, I've written some, and I actually have a beat, but I don't have a person that can do the music side.
Well, I'm sure we can connect you with that person. I got a friend of mine, Luscious Coldstone. He's a rapper out of Oklahoma City. He does some stuff. I bet you he would be someone that you could talk to.
Yeah, I wouldn't mind. I mean, I, I know some rappers, but I'm really picky about who I listen to. Oh man, because you have to be, especially now,
Well, yeah, like
So
Toby Mac and Tadashi and
Tadashi, Toby Mac, a little bit of NF, although man, he needs prayer. That guy is John Rubin. Let me think, who else do I like? Andy Mineo. Manifest, although he kind of tends towards the rap rock side of things, which isn't bad.
Yeah.
Old school Pillar. Oh, there you go. like like early Fireproof, like the original self-titled original Superman, and then they started trying to go pop, and it just ugh. I don't like any of their new crap. It's just like, no, go back to the old stuff.
Yeah, I hear you.
Like, you know. Another one is that I like is Project 86. So there's that.
I actually got to meet Tadashi live in concert in Oklahoma a couple summers
Oh
ago.
wow.
Yep.
I haven't really listened to him really.
It was at a men's rewired, a men's Christian kind of retreat. It was like 2 days, 2 or 3 days down in southern Oklahoma. I went
Oh
down there and they
nice.
had Ted DiBiase, the former wrestler,
Oh, I know who he is. Yeah.
and they had Tadashi, and they had a couple of friends of mine because there's a lot of Christian ministries in Oklahoma. So Cody Bobe, who's former Navy, he did SoulCon Ministries, and now that's kind of self-sustaining, and he runs Gaborim Studios, and they're filming a Christian movie about Shamgar, and Shamgar was mentioned like 2 lines of the Bible. Talk about that he stood in the pass and stopped a 600-man Philistine army on his own.
Huh.
So my buddy Cody is kind of becoming Shamgar. He's dyed his hair dark brown. He grew the beard. He's ripped, and he's been practicing. He's been posting stuff that he's practicing on all his, I don't know, his stunt, not his stunt, but like the action sequences and stuff. It's getting pretty intense. I'm pretty proud of what he's doing. He's partnering with Cliff Graham, who offers good battle tours for $1,000 to take you to Israel for a week. And then my other buddy George Schaefer, who runs, the heck does he run? Storm Ministries, Strategic Treatment Options and Recovery Ministries, talking about how to beat
Cat, would
addiction.
you hush?
He and his wife are George and Meredith. They're just on fire for the Lord. So pretty cool stuff to see
I
them
love it.
talk.
I love it. Yeah. I'm Yeah. Some of the ministries that I've worked with are Oh goodness, who is it? Well, Sonda Allison from Myrtle Ministries. I don't, you've probably never heard of her, but she does a lot of spiritual warfare stuff. Nails
Okay.
on that. A lot. In fact, I learned a good portion of what I know from that ministry and a couple others. And then I went to the Age of Deception conference by Pastor Langford, and I'm telling you, that was really good.
Yeah.
It was like, those conferences you walk in, you can just sense the power of God all over it.
Oh, absolutely.
Oh, yeah. I walked in, and my first thought was, we have company.
It's pretty
you
powerful.
know? Oh, man. People got saved, people got free. It was good. You know, it was really good. In fact, I'm probably going to be going back. He's starting to do some revival type meetings. And uh, the one that he's doing, I love the title, is Why is the Church Powerless?
Ooh.
And I'm like, I could give you a reason why, and I can't wait to hear yours. you know?
Love the power.
So that's I've got a few things, and then I'm gonna see, where am I going? I'm hoping to go to Podcast Movement, hoping, and then I'm hoping to go to Lord willing, I'm hoping to go to Branson this year for Steve Quayle's conference.
When is it?
That do not lay on me. Funny, I always have to have a podcast cat. Every time I do a podcast, I have a podcast cat.
That's the way to do it.
So, you think we got enough that we could do the recording?
I think so. We'll
All
give it a
right,
shot and see what it sounds like anyway.
I'm up for that.
I've done a couple. I'm like, you know what? We got to redo this. one I did that they were off topic, rambling and ranting about Lord knows what, and they never got around to answering any of the questions I asked. They were just so excited to be on a podcast. And then another one I did. Um, we had a great episode, a great show, and I hit stop, and I realized that I hadn't hit record, and I missed it.
Oh,
Oh, talk about gut
I've done
wrenching.
that. I've done
Oh
that.
yeah.
You record. The content is on fire. You record, and then you look down. Your mic is off.
Oh, oh, that's the worst. That's definitely the
Yeah,
worst.
yeah. That's one of those moments you just stop and you're like, Lord, help me out here.
Well, I didn't. I don't think I said Lord. I said some other choice words. I'm sure.
Oh, I'm sure you did.
I was like, are you freaking kidding me? Are you? And I didn't say freaking either. Are you freaking kidding me? And I called her on
Oh, I have
Facebook,
so been there. I
and
have
I'm
been
like,
there, sir.
it's like, hey,
We
we just, yeah,
we were
we just
doing a
got done
recording for
talking.
Michelle yesterday.
Yeah.
We were doing a recording for Michelle yesterday, and our internet cuts out right as we're recording.
Oh,
I'm like, so we called CDS like, you just cost us money.
yeah.
Yeah,
I hear you.
so, ugh.
Well, you feel good? You feel loose?
Yeah, I'm good. Let's
Did you
roll.
do your pre-podcast stretches?
Well, let's pray before we do it. I always like to
Absolutely.
pray.
Absolutely.
All right, you lead. It's your show.
Father God, I'm here today with Teresa. Thank you so much for the fabulous and amazing internet and all the tools that we have at our disposal to connect across seas, across time zones, across all barriers so we can connect,
Mm,
lay down some fire podcasts and reach people's souls, providing
yes.
good quality content that pleases
Yes.
your heart and your soul. And I just pray that what we have really reflects how we feel about you, and that when our listeners hear it, they know exactly who's really talking, Lord. In your name we pray, amen.
And Father, Lord, we put on our whole armor, the helmet of salvation, breastplate of righteousness, belt of truth, shoes of the preparation of the gospel of peace. We take up the sword of the Spirit, which is the word of God, and the shield of faith to quench all the fiery darts. And we speak to any dark spirit, entity, force, power, or dark technology on or around us, and we say, the Lord rebuke you, the blood of the Lamb be upon you. We bind all of you up in a group. We cut off your communication from within that group. We pray the Lord bring confusion, division, and blindness upon you, so you can't hatch any further plans against us. You will keep your hands off the tech. You will leave, and you will not return. Father, I ask, Lord, that you would make this operation run exactly as it is supposed to be. That the recording will come out smoothly, and that you would keep us focused and keep our minds stayed on you. In Yeshua's name, amen.
Amen. All
Let's do
right,
it.
sweet. Let's get rolling here. Hey, this is Travis Johnson. You're listening to the Nonprofit Architect Podcast. If you're loving what you hear, check out patreon.com/nonprofitarchitect. Give us a couple of bucks a month. Keep the show on the air. And if you're looking for a group, someone to connect with, you want to chat with me in person, go to facebook.com/group/nonprofitarchitect. Sign up for the group. Join the conversation on the back end. Get some really value added to your life. Hey, we're on today with Teresa Blaes, one of the geniuses behind Kadosh Media and my personal back end and recording studio. Teresa, how are you doing today?
You know what? I'm doing really good. God's good. He's still on the throne. Everything else is negotiable.
Isn't that the truth? I love that. Hey, for the listeners out there, give them a little backstory on what you do with Kadosh Media and how you're impacting people with all your back end skills.
Oh man. So Kadosh Media is a podcast production company run by Christians for Christians. We are giving the remnant of God a voice in these last days, and Lord knows we are in the last days. If you look around the world, you're seeing things, and the best way that we found that we can combat what's going on is to help believers, on fire believers, reach the people of God and maybe those that need to hear the message, with the truth that He's laid on their heart.
There's no finer mission in the land. I tell you what, Teresa, I wasn't shocked at all when I got a wonderful recommendation from Michelle Gotch. I think she's episode 4 on my list. If you haven't checked out her story, she runs Altered Stories Ministry. She's a fantastic woman. She even had my mom on the show. Wonderful time. But we're here today to talk about why you, as a nonprofit, should run a podcast and what that can do to help your brand and help your mission and help your donations. I know Teresa was talking earlier about that media trend has really shifted, starting with Obama in 2012 and the whole social media landscape and how that's going. What do you think the big difference maker has been in the social media podcasting realm since that day?
Well, I want to couch this within a framework. Before I actually answer that, let's open this because I think this will kind of set the tone for the rest of the questions. Gary Vaynerchuk, who's a very well-known marketer, very well-known media person, that kind of thing. He has a quote that ever since I heard it has resonated with me, and I think it says a lot here. In our pocket, our phones, Apple, Android, I don't care. Our phones are more powerful than the computer that Reagan used to run the country. Think about that. The phone that you carry in your pocket, that you check your social media, that you check your email, that you do whatever you're doing with, it is more powerful than the President of the United States, Ronald Reagan, used to run the country. Now, in that context, what has happened? Social media has kind of cropped up. It's not even a term. It's more the state of the internet. We are more social, and if you look at the area of podcasting, um, podcasting just in Apple iTunes alone, there's close to 800,000 podcasts, less than a million podcasts in that store. Compare that to over 2 billion websites online. So if you have a message, whatever your thing is, I don't care. If you have a message, one of the best ways to get it out there is to start a podcast. Case in point, I have seen a lot of political shows coming up. A lot of political shows run by like representatives and senators like Ted Cruz and Dan Bongino, who was a former Secret Service guy. He actually ran for office in Maryland. Um, oh goodness, Matt Shea, I think it was. You know, a lot of senators, Al Franken, just so it's not all conservatives that are doing it, but all these guys are stepping around mainstream media in the 30-second soundbite and starting their own podcast. I really and truly believe that you can take advantage of that, whatever you're doing, whatever the nonprofit is that you're running, you can take advantage of that.
Oh, absolutely. It allows you to speak directly to the people. You don't have some editor, you don't have some corporation dictating what it is, how your message has to sound, what it has to look like, and what portion. You said 30-second soundbite. Let's be honest, some of these are 10-second sound bites or less. You get 3 words in, you've got no supporting structure, you've got no framework, you've got no context for what it is that they're pulling the clip out, and they're using that for whatever side of the media wants to sway it left, right, or just completely off the map. So if you're trying to reach a certain group of people, let's say you are a veteran and you're running a veteran nonprofit, you want to talk to veterans, you can start a podcast geared directly to the people that you're helping. Conversely, you could start a podcast speaking directly to the donors that you're trying to reach to talk about your message. But I
Amen.
know Teresa was talking earlier, there's different ways to do this. There's different types of podcasts. What are those different types of podcasts?
Well, I mean, there's you could come on at like let's say you're the voice of the company. You're the one that's been put in charge of fundraising and getting media outreach. You could actually come on and be the voice of this show and say, "Hey, this is what we're doing." And so you could have like a monologue, very similar to. Hang on a second. All right, 3, 2, 1. Very similar to the monologues that you might see from a Sean Hannity or a Rachel Maddow or whatever. Um, you could actually run your own do your own monologue, upload that, and you could use that to cover the news in whatever industry you're operating in. So if you are running a veteran oriented podcast, you could talk about veterans issues. Um, I could think of one instance where I ran across a veteran who was in a really, really bad way. And where I live, we have nothing for veterans. Like, absolutely nothing. Okay. You could actually talk about what are some of the issues that veterans are facing and how do we help them in the context of whatever your mission is. Maybe you're trying to help a veteran move from military to civilian life. Well, there's a lot of baggage that comes with that. And so you could actually talk about some of the issues that come into that.
Mm-hmm.
Uh, do you have any comments before I go on to the next one?
I mean, that's exactly right on. If you are helping military members transition from the service into the civilian life, if you're helping military members or veterans with PTSD, if you're trying to help them find a job, if you're trying to, whatever it is that you're doing, you're connecting them to services, you can talk about what that is, what that looks like. You can talk about the partners that you use. You can talk about your methods for how you do it. And all of these things, all these little pieces stack up and add up to something that's going to support your podcast, support your nonprofit, your mission, your vision, your plans for the future. You can do this as a single show. You can do it as a monologue. I mentioned in a previous recording that I'm not good by myself, and doing a monologue just doesn't work for me. You can do an interview style, which is the way I prefer because I can ask questions. I don't have to have any of the answers if I don't want to. I can just ask the questions. Then you can do a round table where you have multiple guests on an episode. And if you have multiple guests on an episode, you can gain lots of different perspective, which is fantastic. But what you might miss out on, or you might have problems with, is people stepping on each other.
Can you hear me, Travis?
Yeah, welcome back.
You okay?
Yeah, I just covered the monologue, the interview, and the round table style.
Okay. All right. So we'll pick up. Sorry about that.
It happens.
How do I want to do this?
You're not using your camera, right?
Yes, I am.
Oh, what dropped?
Okay. Well, damn, I need to charge this. Travis.
Yeah.
Okay. You covered that. Let's. I gotta. I may have to. I wonder if I could. Will it charge? No, it won't. Give me one sec, Travis. I'm having a small issue here. I gotta get my phone on charge or it's gonna die on us. We don't want that.
No, we don't want that.
How am I gonna do this? All right. Do me a favor.
Yeah.
Do it quickly. Get me my foldable charger out of my
yeah,
iPhone.
you could lay it on top of it.
Yep.
Yeah.
Oh God. Okay. Whatever. I gotta get my phone on charge, and then we should be good. I don't know what happened. But what? All right. So. Come on, Mike. Hurry up. What? Thanks. Oh snap! I need uh cable.
You need a power cable.
I need the micro.
Yeah. Short one, okay?
Yeah, I just gotta figure out how I'm gonna. Travis, can you hear me?
I can hear you.
Okay, give me a sec. I'm just setting up.
Or do you want me to find you a long
Jesus help me.
I'll find you a
Okay, that's fine. I think I'm gonna plug my lightning cable and that way I can. Mike. All right. Just so once I get it, let me find the. Where's the plug-in thing? Mike, just get me a god blessed cable, please.
Just got a short one.
Fine. Yeah, that is short. Where do I plug in?
Oh, where'd you put your thing?
It's right here. Oh, wait. No.
There.
Sorry about this, Travis. Give me one sec. I'm trying to.
No worries.
I'll get you along with Teresa. It's not gonna work. Just unplug that. Relax, okay? We'll get it. So it happens.
Oh, I see. Okay, hang on.
I got a longer one.
Yeah, my cable,
Your box is down there and not accessible. Here,
not easily.
plug it in.
Oh, I see. Ah.
It's a long cable.
Yes, I noticed. Okay, oh, I see.
There. Tell Travis, don't worry, we can get all this stuff edited out.
Oh, I know. It's no big deal.
Got it? Just plug in.
Yeah, okay. So
Ready to go.
oh, that's perfect. And then I can just, okay. Removing
Okay,
this.
so-
Come on, hey, go where I need you. Is it charging?
I don't know.
I don't have voiceover, so I can't see.
Yeah, I know. Did it continue?
No. Where to go? All right, here, fold.
That couldn't work. No. Hang on. Just let go. Let go. Okay.
Working my tail off trying to get this podcast started. I wonder if I could flip the video.
I don't know.
What? Are you Mr. Curious? Fuzzball. Let me
There
see.
we go. You can hold it like that.
Hold it like what?
Hold it like that.
Mhm.
It'll charge.
Okay.
It was charging anyway. Yep. Looks like it's charging.
Okay, Travis, are we good? Can you see me?
No, not yet.
Not yet.
Okay. Done.
Isn't there a turn on video button?
Yeah, that's what I was looking for. Ah, come on.
Hello.
Oh, can you see us?
Yep.
Finish it out.
Okay. I'm gonna have to hold that way. Can you see me? Can you see me good?
Oh, yeah, absolutely.
Okay. All right. Okay.
I love pre-recording.
Yeah. We'll edit this out. Okay, so you handled
I
the
talked
different
about
types.
monologue, interview, and roundtable.
Okay. So then why don't you open up with the next question and I'll go from there.
Okay. So now that you know the different types of podcasts, the next step is making sure that you can use them to actually bring in money to your organization. And I think Teresa's got a couple of ways that can do this. Teresa, what do you got?
Um, you know, it's really interesting. I've seen a lot of different ways you could do that. Uh, one of the biggest ways you could do that would be um like you could set up a Patreon or a oh, there's a couple of the Supercast or glow.fm, create and you can say, hey, if you really support what I'm doing, if you like what I'm doing, would you please drop, very similar to what Travis did here. Okay. And what that would do is, yeah, okay, it's going to cover your hard costs of the podcast, but it also, you'll be able to take that money and drop it into your organization and it'll be able to run effectively.
Absolutely. And you can always, give away some kind of freebie. There's people
Yeah.
out there that post behind the scenes content, which we plan on doing here with our podcast, showing like the pre-interviews. So you can see kind of behind the curtain, so to speak, of what do I do when I qualify guests and what do we talk about? How do we figure out what we're going to talk about so we can bring you this great content? You can give away mugs. I know Steven Crowder has the mug club. And if you sign up, he sends you a mug. You can give away t-shirts or ebooks or 100 other things that you can come up with to provide some kind of extra value. So you're not just giving money to a Patreon for no added benefit to yourself. You have this other thing that you can give and help build that following.
Or like on a Daily Tech News Show, which is a tech based podcast, they have a guy that comes in like every Friday and he draws uh, a painting based on the stories of the day. And so, which it has some interesting connotations. And so, what they do is they take that painting and say, hey, if you want this, become a Patreon. You know,
Absolutely.
it's
There's
kind
so
of
many
cool.
ways to do it. You have to use those creative juices, and there's so many behind the things, seeing things that you can do to do this to where you, as maybe a sole founder or someone trying to run the show on your own, first off, you need to engage your board, but we won't get into this. But there's things you can do like through really designs with Ginger and David, that the people that I use for my t-shirt company, or you can use Printful or Teespring, and it's zero cost to set up. And now you have something that when someone orders, there's no upfront cost to you. Everything is done on the back end. They create the t-shirt, they fulfill it, they ship it, and they just give you the money left over. Things like
Or
that are what you need to find.
or even you could do a very simple roundtable, like, I'm gonna meet with my community once a month on Zoom. Doug Hagman does that very well. Every first Sunday of the month, he gathers with his Patreons, and we, you know, because he's one that I actually support, but and we talk about the different news of the day. We talk about it, but we talk about it more in depth than you might hear on the show. And we talk about, like, okay, what do we do about this, or and then there's other issues that we just cover, you know and there's a lot of ways that you could do this. It just takes a little bit of forethought, a little bit of, how am I going to put this together? Like, for my Teresa Blaes show, which is the show that I do on marketing and faith-based marketing, and how to start an online ministry or a faith-based company. I'm thinking about running a newsletter, like a paid newsletter. You know,
Absolutely.
there's
The-
all kinds of ways you can market your stuff online. It just takes a little bit of forethought. It takes a little bit of creativity. And I mean, we live in an age where not having an idea and not having a way to get something done is an excuse.
oh, indeed. I mean, I know I've spoken on my show about this before, but I'm going to need to deploy the
Whoa, whoa, whoa,
moderator.
whoa, whoa, pause, pause, pause. You are gravelly or garbly.
Okay.
There we go. It cleared up.
Yeah. I know I've talked about
Re-
this on my show before, but I'm deployed to the Middle East, active duty Navy, and I started this podcast. And whatever free time I have over here, I have a production company, Kadosh Media, and Teresa and Michael Blaze that help me out. What I could have done is I could have started this on Anchor and run it for free. You don't have
mm,
as much control about it. You don't have as much editability. Blog Talk Radio, there's a couple of different things out there to do it live and for free, but you also
they
get,
also have their drawbacks. Yeah.
they have their drawbacks, and you get what you pay for. And sometimes, especially with podcasts, that results in reduced quality, reduced control, reduced storage, things like that. So you have to figure out what really is going to work for you and why am I mad, why you care. There's ways to get started for $200 a month or $500 a month. There's world-class production companies that are 1,000, 1,500 or more a month that take care of
Yep.
all the back end and different ways. And one of the benefits of doing something like we're recording via Zoom is you can split the left and right audio. And I think Teresa's got some tips on how to repurpose your content.
I do actually. First of all, if you're using social media, which by the way you should be, just saying. Um, if you're using social media, clip some of these episodes up, okay? Like into I'm trying to think. So like you could create stories, Instagram stories or Facebook stories, and turn these posts into a story, and then now you've got content for your social. You could transcribe them and then turn that into a blog post. You could turn your podcast into video. So now you've created one, two, three, four. Um, you know, you could. There's so many ways you could do this. Um, you just have to. You gotta. It's but it takes a little bit to get that part going. But once you get it going, it becomes a well-oiled machine. I know people, and I'm not saying you should do this, but I'm saying it's possible to do this. Two out of one piece of pre-recorded content or live recorded content, and then you repurpose it into a podcast. So like you would go on Facebook Live, Instagram Live, whatever, and you would repurpose that content into a podcast. They take those recordings and turn them into 52 additional or more pieces of content per day.
Absolutely, you can do that. And what the plan is for the nonprofit architect, at a bare minimum, we want to have the behind the scenes episodes on Patreon. We have the recordings that we have in Zoom. We want to take the Zoom video, put it on YouTube. We've got the podcast, the audio only that you already have access to. And we're going to transcribe these for blog posts so you can get the content in the method that you prefer throughout the day. That's 4 different ways to connect with your audience. I'm not a huge fan of video. That's not my thing. I'm usually in a place where watching a video is rude, and I almost never have earphones or headphones, and that's just the way I do it. But video is crushing things, 2, 3, 4 times to one. And if you're not doing video in some capacity, if you're not capitalizing on Facebook Live or Insta Video, you're doing it wrong. And if you're trying to get your message out and connect with your audience, your donors, the people in your community, and you're not using something that you can control. Yeah, we did, the interview with Lori McNeil, and she teaches you how to get on different local radio shows and local TV shows and such of that nature. But if you're not capitalizing on social media or running a or cheaper free podcast, at least to start before you upgrade into some world class work like Teresa and Michael provide with Kadosh Media, you're really hurting yourself. You can speak directly to whomever you choose to speak to. You just have to take the steps to do so.
It really comes down to this. I have seen a lot of people. I can remember I was working with a client a while back, and we told her, "Hey, this is how you do it. This is what you need to do." But I don't like the sound of my voice. And she just would complain. And I'll just throw this in because it's kind of where I'm thinking. If that's one of your main objections, that you don't like the sound of your voice or you think you won't sound good, let's be very honest. Your first up to 50 episodes of the show are going to suck. They're going to. Why? Because you're finding your voice. You're working out all the kinks. You're going through that process of maturing as a podcaster. Once you get in that rhythm and you start finding your voice, you're golden. But don't let that issue of, well, I don't like the way I sound. Whoever did, I used to suck as a podcaster. I did. I was scared out of my mind to launch the ministry podcast I do but I did it anyway. I pushed through that the suck factor, as I like to call it, and now I do it. I know what I'm doing. I'm comfortable behind the mic. It's like anything. Practicing a skill. The more time you spend behind that mic creating content and getting feedback from people, from your donors, from your uh, people that are listening to your nonprofit, the more time you spend behind the mic putting in the reps, the more practice you get and the better you become.
That's without a doubt. We all can't be world class podcasters like I am. Just a few episodes in, and I'm of course joking. There's so many things that I do wrong that I struggle with. The back end, the scheduling, asking the right questions on Calendly, making sure I'm getting the right kind of. I had an episode that I had to re-record because I couldn't keep the guests reined in. I had an episode that I thought was fire, just absolutely lit, and I was all done with it. I hit stop and realized that I hadn't hit record. In the Navy, that means you have
Done
to.
that.
In the Navy, that means you just earned yourself the right to write a checklist to make sure you do it right the
Every
next time.
podcaster makes that mistake. Every single one. You're gonna have those moments where you're like, I want to kick myself right now because I didn't even record this and it was nails.
It's one of those things. You get this thing called analysis paralysis. You've had the idea, you've gained some information. Sometimes you listen to a couple of podcasts, or you read a couple of books, or you listen to a couple of this. But pretty soon you realize that you're just searching for more information. You're not actually taking action on it.
Mm-hmm.
And there's this little story I used at work the other day that got some good feedback. There's this couple riding on a donkey into town, and a little while up the road, they meet someone. They're like, "What are you doing? You have two of you on this donkey? The donkey can't handle that." So the man hops off the donkey and he's walking next to his wife who's riding. And a little bit further up the road, they run into another person. Like, "I can't believe, are you the man of this house? You should be riding. She should be walking." So they switch. And a little bit further up the road, as they head into town, they come across another person, of course. And they said, "I can't believe you would ride while your wife walks. What kind of a husband are you?" And then so he hops down, and he and his wife are walking together next to the donkey, and they come across someone else. I'm like, "I can't believe you're wasting this perfectly good donkey. You guys could both be riding." You see, it doesn't matter what it is that you choose to do, right, wrong, or indifferent. Someone is going to criticize and have an opinion about what it is that you're doing. You got to gather the information, ask the right questions, figure out what's right for you, and take that step and go. Sometimes you're going to run into roadblocks. Sometimes you're going to run into criticism that you really didn't think about that might kind of course correct you. But no matter what you pick, people are going to have something to say about what it is that you're doing. So what? Get out there and do it. People would
We live
rather.
in a very polarized culture, especially here in the U.S. We live in a very polarized culture, so everybody has an opinion, you know? And if you base what you're going to do and or don't do on someone else's opinion, you're never going to take that step.
Never.
Um, it's just, I guess, my thinking like at this point in time is this: look, whatever you're called to, if you choose not to podcast, fine. Get out there and publish. Get out there and create content to reach your audience, whether it's audio, video, or text based. Okay, get out there, get fast. Uh, why do you think they put blinders on horses? So they don't get distracted by what's beside them or what could be on the side. They're focused on the goal, which is that finish line. You have a goal. You want to raise money for your nonprofit. You want to get the word out about your nonprofit. You want to help people. Podcasting can help you get to that finish line, but you got to put the blinders on. You got to ignore the judgments of other people and the criticisms and sometimes even the praise of other people. Put the blinders on, focus on your goal, and begin to run.
It's amazing that you talk about the blinder story. I absolutely love that quote. When they interviewed the top CEOs, the top executives, the richest people in the world, they asked them if you had one piece of advice, one single solitary thing that you could tell people of how to get to their goals, what would it be? Overwhelming majority says focus. If you can increase your focus on the thing that is you're doing, whether you're learning, working out, doing business stuff, whatever the thing is that you're doing, if you are focused on it, truly focused on it, you're going to crush everybody out there.
But we live in a very fast-paced society that doesn't know how to. We can barely focus on enough to write 250 characters in a tweet. You, this is a situation. I mean, think about it. We've been reduced. We used to be comfortable with writing letters. We've now been reduced to writing 250 characters in a tweet. That is a lack of focus. And if you really want to succeed, that can't be said about you.
Absolutely. If you're not sure whether or not you have the focus, see how many tabs are up running on your computer. See how many things are on your to-do list. See how many things you have that you started that you didn't finish. If you have a good list of those things, and I'm not saying I'm immune to those things, you may have a focus problem. I'm going to sit down. You know what I'm going to do today? I'm going to sit down. I'm going to read this book. I'm going to get the knowledge I need to do to be successful in whatever my nonprofit, whatever my business, whatever my mission, whatever my vision is. Oh, look, Facebook alert. Oh, look, here's my Clash of Clans game that I'm playing. Oh, phone call? Oh, I'd love to talk to Teresa all day. I could talk to Teresa for hours and hours and hours. End of the day comes, you're like, I didn't really get that new information. Oh, I skipped the gym. Oh, I ran out of time, so I didn't eat right. Whatever the thing it is distracting you, get it out of your life.
Yep.
Get rid of it. If you can't
That's
have
why
the
I don't have
computer
any.
open while you're doing whatever your thing is, if emails are distracting you, turn it off. If
Yep.
you're trying to read or journal or meditate and your phone is distracting, put it in another room. Whatever the thing is, get rid of it.
That's why I don't have games on my phone.
Oh, that's why?
Yeah. I will not. Well, one, because I used to have an addiction to them. Like horrible.
Yeah.
Um, but that's another topic for another day. Anyway, but I used to have a very bad addiction to text-based gaming, and in the process of my breaking free of that, I had to get rid of all the games off my phone, and I'm finding I'm a lot more productive because of it.
I think it was Warren Buffett. I don't have this quote on lockdown, but he's like, write out 20 goals, figure out what your top 5 are, and if it's not in that top 5, don't do them ever. Those top 5 goals should be the only things that you're focused on. They should be in different areas. They should be in health, wealth, lifestyle, happiness, foundation, whatever those things are. But if it's not your top 5 goals, don't spend any time on them.
Amen. Amen.
Well, Teresa, we've had a great
Anyway.
episode. I'm wondering, what can my audience, what can my people, what can my team do for you?
Wow. If you Well, one, I really would like you guys to check out the Teresa Blaes show. It is a show not aimed at nonprofits, but it's aimed at faith-based business owners and/or online ministries. Uh, but but I really do try and bring a lot of fire, and so I talk about mindset stuff. I talk about marketing. Um, if you're interested and you want our help to start a podcast, please don't wait. Don't put it off. Go to Kadosh Media, schedule a time, and let's talk. That's KADOSH Media.com. And with that, guys, just step out and do what you were called to do, and do it with excellence.
Absolutely. No one can give you money, donate to your cause, or help you build the vision that you have if they don't know you exist. Get you a media team, media strategy, get you a podcast, start a blog, whatever the thing is to get the word out there because no one cares more about your vision than you do.
Amen to that. Amen to that. Well, Travis, it has been an absolute blast coming on your show and talking podcasting and all things media and marketing and a little bit of mindset for flavor.
Yeah, I had a great time. It was great having you, Teresa.
Well, thank you so much for having me.
Absolutely. And that's how we do a podcast. What do you think?
I like.
It's pretty fun, isn't it?
Oh yeah, no, I love it. I love it. You and I could sit down and talk marketing and stuff all day. That's clear.
Indeed.
So I think what we'll do now, I'm assuming you'll have mine, and we're gonna have to probably piece it together or have Chris piece it together.
I tell you what, he's been earning his paycheck on this last couple because I've had one where like I said that's a show, and the guest was like, "Oh crap, I forgot the whatever," and I was like, "Well, we're still recording," so then I re-asked the question, and she gave more content. So it's just one of
Yep.
those things.
Yep. Well, I'm gonna send you my interview link. Just go ahead and fill it out, and we'll get you locked into, and we'll bring you on the TV show, and we'll talk about like, okay, why would you want to start a nonprofit, and how do you go about doing it?
Yeah, we can do that. If that's what you want me to talk about, we can do that.
Well, yeah. Well, I mean, we could talk about whatever you want to cover.
Yeah.
I mean, what do you want to cover?
What's the focus of your show?
Helping faith-based entrepreneurs or online ministries get started.
Okay, then yeah, we'll definitely talk about some behind the scenes nonprofit stuff and what that might look like and how to actually make sure you're doing the thing that you want to do. I've got a podcast scheduled with Patrick Kirby, who's one of my guests, and he's raised millions upon millions of dollars for nonprofits out of North Dakota, out of all places. So he's working his tail off.
Oh, yeah.
But but our episode is going to be the five reasons to not start a pod or not start a nonprofit and why you don't do that.
Oh, that's funny.
Yeah. There's just too many people out there that they don't know what it is they want. I'm actually going to stop the old recording here.